Hey everyone, and welcome to Inside Look at Packaging. In today's video, we are going to put head-to-head labels versus pre-printed packaging. And if this is your first time joining us, welcome. On this channel, we give you tips, tricks, and industry secrets around packaging, as well as help educate you to feel more comfortable and confident with your packaging decisions. Now let's just jump right in. Many times in new product development or new packaging development, we come to the question of what do we want our product to look like? Now for me personally, oftentimes that leads me to the question, do I want to go with a label or do I want to go with a pre-printed package? And today I have a product that is actually in both options, both with a label and a pre-printed package. And we're going to lay out the pros and cons of each option to try to give us an idea of maybe what situations and what circumstances we should pick one or the other. Now, let's dive right into the label first. So here we have an example of the label. Now, in this circumstance, we have a front label, which is going to be kind of our what the name is, the different kind of marketing logo, other things. So in food, I have our little USDA bug, which is just kind of the regulatory piece on this label. And then we have a back label as well on this product. So again, we got some name, we got the nutritionals, the things you see on a cereal box, kind of the ingredients, as well as a barcode. Now let's talk about the pros of using a label. So the first thing that I always love about labels is the flexibility that it gives you. So in this circumstance, we have just a circle front label that's printed. Now, if I have multiple different types of, in this case, a street taco, if I have multiple different flavors, and different products that are on the inside but similar, I can have multiple different color labels, I can have different names on the labels, pretty easy, and then the rest of the package would still be the same. So I can use this clear film with just a different label on the front and we'd be good to go. So it gives you this flexibility if you offer lots of different products that you can have one clear film and then just multiple different printed labels. The second point is the quick lead time. And in many situations, say, your product is more seasonal and you're expecting orders to be, say, wow, I'm gonna make 1,000 of these, okay? And then once we're getting closer to that, you end up getting way more orders and you don't have enough materials, don't have enough packaging. And so obviously, maybe you kept that clear film because you use it on multiple, so you have that, but you don't have the specific printed label. With quicker lead times with labels, I can maybe place an order and a week later I could have the labels I need. And my third point is that they have a low minimum order quantity or MOQ. And so say again, back to our, your seasonal item, you're planning on 1,000. Well, you can order just 1,000 or you can order, say you only make 10 products a year. You can still order just 10 on many different websites, which is really handy. You still get that custom package, it's specific to your product, but you don't need to spend a ton and have a lot extra. And then that leads me to my fourth point, is that they're easy for updates. And you wouldn't think about this all the time, but especially in the food industry, they are governed by government organizations like the FDA, the USDA. You may have heard of those before. And so once in a while, there'll be updates that are necessary. So, one in 2021 that we're in right now, that all food needs to get updated on the package is a call out that says this uses bioengineered products or ingredients, things like that. And so now with that new rule in place, we have to change all of our packaging to have that call out on it before the end of the year. And so with labels, it's very easy. I can go in to, any of those kind of editing softwares, Adobe Illustrator, Photoshop, whatever you like to use, and go in and just add the line, add the verbiage, and then the next time I order 1,000, I send that to the printer and they print that. Now we went through the pros of the label, let's move over to the cons. So my first one is room for marketing. As you can see on this, there's a lot of clear film and there's only about 3.5-inch diameter circle for your product information. And so a lot of times, you know, when it comes to marketing and things like that, you know, this is all you get to really show your customer what your product is, you know, what the brand is like and things like that. So that's kind of a con that I give to using labels. And then the other component of the cons is the cost. You may be wondering, okay, well, how can a label cost that much? And really where that cost comes from is kind of on the flip side of the pro we talked about, is the low order quantity. And so the more, kind of how printing works is the more you order, the lower the price. And so say I'm ordering my 10 for my 10 orders, well, maybe each label is going to cost a lot more than if I ordered, say, 1,000, 100,000, something like that. And so I give that as a con for the labels. Though it is a pro that you can order just a few, it's a con that the price is going to go up higher based on that order quantity. Okay, so now we talked about the pros and the cons of using labels for our product. Now let's switch over to the pre-printed package and let's talk about the pros first, and then we'll hit the cons for those. The pros of having a pre-printed package is sort of the opposite about the labels, is the marketing space. Since you can have, you know, it wraps around, you can have your, you know, color, you can have little shapes as this one does. This one's got a little clear window still so you can see the product, but lots of color would really stand out on the shelf. That's a great advantage. And then, you know, on your back here, you know, you still got all the logos and branding. And then you can have some, you know, cooking instructions. Obviously this is a food item. And so really great for space and using that well. The second pro of pre-printed package is that there are less components for the build. And so, you know, the product inside here slips right in, this sealed up, put in the master case. Very simple. Well, on the other hand, with the label, we have the film, and then we have a front label, and in this case we also had a back label. And so, you know, you're cutting down from 3 different items going into just the one to just one. If you remember back, I just said that the price of the label is its con. Well, the price of the pre-printed is actually a pro, and that is because, again, how many components are in this. So I can get this whole thing pre-printed, all my logos, everything are already on it, and say this is maybe like 20 cents. Well, back to the label itself might be closer to 5 cents. So say we have a front label and a back label, okay, now it's 10 cents. Now we have the film itself, which is going to be is probably pretty close to the print, and so it's looking like the labels actually cost more than the pre-printed. And so a pro to the pre-printed is that it's going to be lower cost per each one of these. Let's move to the cons of the pre-printed because we kind of have a little bit longer of a list. Number 1 is the long lead time. As of today, which is just the beginning of May, our lead times, say on something like this, could be 12 to 14 weeks. Which again, we just had talked about how the label, on the other hand, you could probably get in 1 week. And so it's quite a con for the pre-printed that it's such a long time you have to wait to get it. The second con is that you have a large minimum order quantity. So again, flip side, labels we can order just a few, and then now this pre-printed is going to be a larger quantity. The way that printers run this as a film is all kind of in one take, and it's very fast line moving, and so to do just say 1,000 is not really worth the time it takes to set the machine up, set up the colors and all of that kind of stuff. And so a lot of times they only let you order say like on a full pallet. And so for many of us, we don't need a full pallet of film. If we're looking at, you know, we have about 3,000 of these printed on each roll, which this is called an impression. So 3,000 impressions per roll, and we have to order a full pallet, which maybe is 36 rolls. We're looking at 100,000, more than 100,000 of these for our minimum order. Let's move to the next con, which brings us again to the opposite of the labels, and that is updates. So when we need to update this, so what I briefly mentioned earlier is the 2021 update with the bioengineered callout, is now if we need that to be done to the film or this pre-printed package, we have to go back, go to the printer and change all their printing plates, update. There's these things called press approvals where, you know, the customer has to come and which, you know, obviously might be us, but we go to the printer, we have to look at the colors, make sure they're correct, make sure everything's good to go, and then you have another one of those orders, which is, you know, 100,000 minimum. And so, you know, say you had to do that half the year, you might be stuck with a bunch, and you know, maybe you have to just throw it out. So now we've talked about the pros and the cons of both using labels as well as a pre-printed package. And now after my conversation there, you might kind of be leaning one way or the other. And what I really need to tell you is it really comes down to your specific situation. And so yes, the labels are great, but they're great for maybe a smaller quantity or if you want to stay flexible. And the pre-printed is great for marketing. You know, it's a little bit cheaper in the long run, but it's only for higher quantities. And so if you're running one specific item and you know you're gonna use up 100,000 or more, I personally recommend doing the pre-printed route. Now, if you're gonna be maybe, you know, 10, 20 here or there, and you have multiple different products, I recommend the label route. And if you're questioning, you know, is film the only option for preprint? No, there's lots of options. You know, here, this is kind of a paper that you can wrap that's pre-printed. You know, here's some other ones that are kind of a wrap. Other things that you can have pre-printed are cartons. So, you know, maybe you can stick your product in a carton, pre-printed, good to go. Again, now with something like this, you could also do it with a label. You could get a blank white carton, stick a label on there, and it would still represent your brand and look great. So again, it comes down to your specific situation with most of this. But I hope after watching that, you were able to kind of see where the pros and the cons are, comparing the two, you know, putting them head to head, and hopefully that helps you in your decisions with using either a label or a pre-printed package. Now, if you learned something or found value in that video, please hit the like button below. This will help us be found by other people who might be asking questions and looking for the same things that you are around packaging, and this might be helpful for them. But without hitting that like button, it will be really hard for us to be found, so I really encourage you to hit that. As well as please subscribe to the channel if you find that you're really enjoying the videos that we're putting together. And I really want to hear your feedback on what you'd like us to talk about next. So in the comments below, please let us know if you have any specific packaging questions that we can answer, or just let us know, you know, I like the series that you're doing, I like the head-to-heads, you know, do you want to see more where we're comparing something directly with another option? You just let us know and we will make those videos because we want to answer and help you feel more comfortable and confident in your packaging decisions. Thanks for watching.